everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally bringing you guys my review of the new Dior. This is the Skin Correct Concealer. This is in their Forever line and this is brand new. Now I will admit I was a little bit skeptical about this one because I remember trying the original Dior concealer and didn't like it. I felt like it was really drying. So I was a little bit skeptical of it, but you know, since they've been redoing their entire Forever line and also releasing, you know, the Forever Skin Glow, I really like this foundation. My only problem with this foundation is I can't find my right shade. It's either too orange or too dark or too light. Like I can't find my middle ground when it comes to this foundation. Kind of drives me crazy. So I do really like this Skin Glow foundation because I'm more on the drier side. It works so much better for my skin than the original Forever foundation. They launched this concealer just recently, and as you guys know, I also just recently reviewed the new Hourglass concealer and fell madly in love with it. So I have been wearing this for several days now, and I have a pretty good idea how I feel about it and how also it compares to the new Hourglass, because I know many of you guys have asked me, you know, if I would address that in my review, how it compares to the new Hourglass, because you guys know I love it so much. Okay, so let me get into the details about this concealer. They are claiming it's a full coverage natural concealer. This concealer with up to 24-hour wear hides under eye circles, redness, and imperfections without settling into facial lines. Enriched with wild pansy extract, this skin-caring formula helps smooth, moisturize, and improve complexion. Available in a wide range of shades and multiple undertones. So that's the information on the concealer. Now again, they're claiming to be 24-hour wear, kind of the same claim as the Forever foundation in the Skin Glow and the regular formula. So this has 28 shades. I chose shade 3W, and 3W works great for me. Up here on the screen is an image of this concealer next to some of the other concealers that I have. Now, you guys know that I don't like to go really, really light on my concealers anymore. I've kind of pulled away from that, and I'm only maybe a shade or two lighter than my actual skin tone when it comes to my concealers now. So, you know, just so you guys can know what this shade looks like next to some of the other concealers that I have in my collection. So let's go ahead and jump into the price breakdown, because I'm really excited to share with you guys just how this compares to some of the other high-end concealers out on the market. So this concealer retails for $36. You get 0.37 ounces, which is 11 milliliters. That makes it $3.27 per milliliter. So keep that number in your mind, $3.27. So let's first start with the comparison to the new Hourglass. So the new Hourglass Veil Concealer has 22 shades. It has 0.2 ounces, which is 6 milliliters. It retails for $34, and that makes it $5.67 per milliliter. So remember, the Dior is $3.27. This one is $5.67. So the next one we have is the Armani Beauty. This is the Power Fabric Concealer. There are 20 shades in that concealer. It has 0.2 ounces, 6 milliliters. Retails for $34, and it's also $5.67 per milliliter. So the Hourglass and the Armani Beauty is the exact same price. Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Concealer, that one has 21 shades. It has 0.13 ounces, 4 milliliters worth of product. It is $32, and that makes it $8 per milliliter. So she's very expensive, okay? So the Tom Ford Emotion Proof Concealer, that one only has 12 shades. It is 0.24 ounces, which is 7 milliliters. Retails for $54. That makes it $7.71 per milliliter. So then we have the YSL All Hours. There are 16 shades in that concealer. It is 0.17 ounces, 5 milliliters. Retails for $34, and it's $6.80 per milliliter. So then I decided to compare it to the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. That concealer has 60 shades. You get 0.22 ounces, 6 milliliters. It retails for $30, and that makes it $5 per milliliter. So finally we have the Fenty Beauty Concealer, and the only reason why I wanted to throw this one in there is because all of the other high-end brands, in my opinion, Dior, YSL, Hourglass, all of them are on that same line as far as luxury makeup. So then I wanted to compare it to something along the middle ground. So you guys know Fenty is more on, they're not like a really affordable brand, but they're not super expensive. Fenty kind of is right in the middle, which I really love that about that brand. So the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer, it has 50 shades. Yes, I know, Fenty rocks. You get 0.27 ounces, which is 8 milliliters. It retails for $26. That makes it $3.25 per milliliter. So this Dior concealer is only 2 cents more than the Fenty Beauty one, which I thought was really, really incredible. So we're gonna jump into the application portion of the video. I'm gonna show you guys how I apply it. I'm going to do, a check-in, and then I'm going to come back after wearing it for all these days, and I'm going to get into, how it wears, how it performs, and the differences between this and the new Hourglass, because there are some differences between these two. Depending on what you like in a concealer, I think the differences between these two will help make your decision a little bit easier. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the application portion of the video, and I will see you guys in my final thoughts. Okay, so today is Saturday, and I am going to test out this concealer all weekend long. So it's a quite big applicator. I mean, it's kind of big. It's the Tarte Shape Tape, and this is the Dior. So the Dior is still smaller than the Tarte Shape Tape, but they're somewhat similar. But this one has an angle to it, as you can see. So it's, like this one only has an angle at the tip. This one is fully angled. Now, comparing it to the new Hourglass one, the new Hourglass one is a really nice doe foot. I've really enjoyed this doe foot. So the Hourglass is kind of in that like shape where it kind of comes to a point. The Dior doesn't. So that's the difference between those two. So I got you guys zoomed in. On one side, I think I'm going to use a brush, and on the other, I'll probably use a sponge. My preferred way to apply concealer is to blend it out with a brush to kind of really, put it where I want it, and then going over top of it with my finger. I feel like my finger just really melts it into the skin. That's my preferred way to apply it, but I know a lot of you out there, apply with a sponge and stuff, so I'm going to do it on one side with my preferred way and then the other with a sponge. So let's go ahead and start. So that's a good shade. I have tried not to go too light on my concealers lately just because I've really enjoyed the way it looks. Having that really light under eye has just kind of aged me, and I feel like my makeup looks much more flawless when I don't have that stark difference in shades from my concealer to my foundation. So normally I've been going about 2 shades lighter on my concealer, and that blended out so fast. I mean, it is a very fast, smooth formula. So as you can see, this is a full coverage concealer. So this side right here, I have this little spider vein, and I have it from wearing my glasses at night, and it's this little spot right here. So typically a full coverage concealer will cover that. But this one didn't. So this one might be one that you might need to add a little bit more in those areas where you need a little bit more coverage. But I can tell you, this dries down to a very soft matte finish. And it's still not fully matte. I mean, you can still see a little bit of that radiance, so it's not really matte. So I appreciate that. So far, I like the way it feels. I'm going to wipe off the applicator and then go on this side. I'm going to blend this side out with my sponge. Now, the problem with blending it out with a sponge is that I pick up a lot of the product, and sometimes that's good, especially if you're somebody that has a tendency to apply too much concealer. It's probably good for you to use a sponge because the sponge will absorb the excess amount of concealer. I think that looks pretty good. On both sides, the sponge really blends in nicely. Again, I love the shade of this. So this is 3W from Dior, and this is Dune from Hourglass. So they're very, very similar. I mean, they're almost exactly the same shade. This is a nice concealer. I can tell that it's a very, so far the difference between the Dior and the Hourglass, I feel like the Hourglass is a little bit thicker, a little bit more smoothing. So I think that's what I loved about this concealer so much, is the fact that it made my under eyes look so smooth. Like one of the most smoothing concealers I've ever used on my under eye. This one doesn't have that smoothing texture. So it's really still pretty though. Like I don't feel like this is too matte. I don't feel like this is drying at all. I feel like it feels really nice. It doesn't feel heavy under the eye. It feels very lightweight. So far I like it. I don't know that I like it as much as I did when I first applied the Hourglass concealer, but I do really like this concealer. So I zoomed you guys in so you guys could see what this looks like, but if you watched my Hourglass review, you will know that this one is claiming to be a full coverage concealer. The only problem with it is I had a hard time with this maintaining its coverage. So it'd be full coverage for like 6 hours, and then it would be like a medium coverage concealer for the remaining 6 hours. So I'm curious how this one is going to work. Because this is claiming to be a 24-hour full coverage concealer, I'm really curious to see how it's going to wear for 24. I'm not going to wear it for 24 hours, but I'm curious how long it will maintain its coverage. But I am going to apply just a little bit here on this little dot right here, on this little blemish that I have right here on my cheek, just to see how it covers blemishes. So it is 9:58 on Saturday morning. I'm gonna go ahead and go about the rest of my day. This seems promising. I think it actually looks pretty decent. And I feel like it looks really natural. I feel like it looks really pretty over my wrinkles and stuff, which is the thing that I look for because I am starting to get, you know, more wrinkles on the under eye. I am 40, so it is always good to, you know, test out concealers and see how they wear over wrinkles. But I don't feel like this formula is drying at all. I feel like it's pretty hydrating. Not overly hydrating, but it's just a very comfortable concealer. So that's it for the application. I will see you guys in my first check-in. So I was going through my footage to see if I had done a midday check-in on this concealer, and I haven't. So I applied this right around 9-ish this morning, maybe like 9:30. It is currently 3:10. So I've had it on for about 7 hours now. I'm getting a little bit of creasing. I didn't set this concealer today. Since I've been playing around with this concealer, I've only set it maybe once or twice. I've been wearing this for several days now. Definitely several days since you guys saw me apply it for the first time. I've probably been wearing it for maybe 5 or 6 days, skipping one day in between because I filmed with the Hourglass concealer. So I would say I've probably worn it like 4 or 5 days now. So I do have a really good idea about the concealer. So this is up close, and as you can see, it does crease a little bit, but here's the thing. I don't mind creasing. I am very accustomed to creasing. Because I don't set my under eye, you kind of just get used to it. So creasing is not an issue for me. However, I will say this concealer does set pretty good because it is such a thinner formula that I haven't had any issues with it, you know, getting kind of gunky and gross. I just do not like my under eyes set. I've tried it so many different ways and it just does not work for me, but this one is a nice concealer to set. So if that is something that you enjoy doing, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with this one setting it. But so yeah, you're gonna see the creasing underneath my eyes, but it does look very soft. And I think that's what I like the most about this concealer, is just how soft it is. Very lightweight, very soft, very beautiful. Let's go ahead and zoom in so you guys can see what it looks like. Okay, so that's it for this check-in. I'm gonna go ahead and go about the rest of my day, and I will come back later on this evening so we can do like a 12-hour check-in, and I can give you guys the full rundown on this concealer, how I feel about it, and give you guys all of my final thoughts. So I will see you guys in my final check-in. Okay, everyone, I am back to give my final thoughts. A couple of things I want to talk about here really quick. Let's get into what I love about the concealer, and then I will get into the differences between the Dior and the Hourglass. I really like this concealer. In fact, let me just say this. Had it not been for this one coming out, I think this would be my new favorite. I do like this one a little bit more, and I will get into that in a minute, but this is a very thin, lightweight formula. The thing that I will say though, so a couple of days ago, my friend Mel Thompson uploaded, she and I did a collaboration, and in the video, she was using this concealer, and she said that if she puts it on and then lets it set up for like 30 seconds to a minute and then blends it out, she gets better coverage and it just blends overall better. She's absolutely right. So when I've used this concealer and I put it on and blend it out immediately, I feel like I get a little bit less coverage, and I don't feel like it lasts quite as long as it does if I put it on and let it kind of set up for a second, let it kind of thicken up a little bit, and then blend it out. If you want really good coverage, I recommend that. If you are somebody that likes a light to medium coverage situation, then I would totally just put it on, blend it out, and you're good to go. The other thing that I love about it is that it doesn't get cakey under my eyes. It's not drying at all. This is a very soft concealer under the eye. It is just one of those concealers that's very dependable, very beautiful, and I really like it. In fact, it's probably going to be a part of my new rotation. So I would say probably my top 3 to 4 favorite. Like, it's up there because it's a really beautiful concealer. I give it a 5 out of a 5 star. Like, I haven't really found anything about it that I don't really like. As I talked about in my Hourglass concealer, love this concealer. The only thing I don't like about it is that it doesn't maintain the coverage quite as long as I would have hoped. This one actually does. So, you know, I've had my concealer on for several hours today. So it's almost 11 o'clock, and I probably applied this right around 9:30 this morning. So it's been on for over 12 hours. And the thing that I like about it is that it does maintain the coverage, unlike this one does. For some reason, this one doesn't maintain the coverage on me. This is a beautiful concealer. They did a fantastic job on the formula. This one is so much better than the other formula, and if you were like me and you're a little bit apprehensive about trying this because the other Dior concealer wasn't as good, I think you'll enjoy this. The only people I think that won't like this is for those of you out there that like a really matte concealer. So this is not a Tarte Shape Tape. This is a very natural concealer. It looks beautiful on the under eye. I think it lays beautiful over wrinkles. Let me get into why I still like the Hourglass more. For me personally, now this is on a personal basis. There is something magical about this one in the way, and I've said it since the day I reviewed it, there's something magical about this one in the way that it smooths my under eye. So it gives me the illusion of setting my under eye without having to actually set it. It is so smooth. It smooths out all of this like texture that I have going on underneath here so beautifully. It's a thicker formula. So the difference between these two, this one's a thinner formula. This is a little thicker. So with that said, you don't want to use a lot of this one. Sometimes I get a little bit carried away and I put too much of this on, and then it creases like an SOB. It drives me crazy. This one, you can kind of get away with applying a little bit too much, and it's not going to crease like this one does. Like, you just have to be careful applying this one. If you apply the right amount and you blend it out, it is the most smoothing formula I've ever seen in a concealer. Still to this day, it still blows my mind how beautiful it is. But this one is a little bit more forgiving. None of my concealers in my collection is as smooth as this one is. This one is very soft and very beautiful, but this kind of gives like an airbrush effect under the eye. So there's a lot of differences between them, but both very beautiful on the under eye. I think for those of you that like a very lightweight, like undetectable concealer, I think you'll really enjoy this one. For those of you that like that really snatched, very smooth under eye, then I think this is the one to go for. So I kind of feel like both of these have their own unique beauty about them. They're both fantastic concealers. If you guys have any questions, like if there was something that I didn't address as far as the differences between these two, let me know in the comments down below. I will definitely try to answer those questions as best as I can. But I think if you guys pick this one up, the thing I do want to say though, this one is so much more affordable than the Hourglass. So also keep that in mind when I did the cost breakdown. This one is way more affordable than this one. It's like almost, I think it was like $1.70 difference per milliliter. So you get a lot of product with this than you do with this. For those of you out there that, you know, you're on a good budget and you want to make sure that you are spending your money wisely, then I would definitely say that Dior is probably the better pick. Just based on cost alone, but they're both beautiful, beautiful concealers. So let's go ahead and pull you guys in so you guys can see what my under eyes are looking like 12 hours later. But you can notice that it just looks very soft and very smooth under the eye, and like I hardly get any creasing, and it just looks very, very natural. It still has kept this part covered. You know, that's my spider vein part, and this is still pretty nice and covered, which is kind of what I look for when I am, you know, reviewing a full coverage concealer. I think it's maintained the coverage quite well, actually. But that's it for the review. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for all the love that you show me. It means so much to me, and I want you guys to have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in my next video, and I love you all so much. Bye!